What the fiqh? Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Long time.
It's been a pleasure.
What the fiqh
What the fiqh?
is the question. That's the name of the podcast, by the way. Don't freak out. It's called What the Fiqh. Okay?
Because it's controversial, that's why.
I like controversy a little bit. I like to make a little bit of fitna. You know, you gotta boil people's blood a little bit to get the goodness out. But this is a podcast that's, I think, very unique in the sense that I want to talk to people who are involved in a lot of different fields, whether it be arts, culture, knowledge, you name it. And you're a person that I think intersects in almost all of those different things.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. From fashion to Islamic theology, to obviously da'wah, to art. You're a very, I would say, representative of many different fields, right? I want to talk to you about a few things. One is the first time I met you was when? I think I met you was it in Philly?
No. Before Philly, we met at Maghrib.
We met at where?
Maghrib in, I think it was Texas.
In Dallas? No, in Houston.
Man. I don't remember. We did both.
Oh, was it the conference?
Conference, yeah. The big conference they do every
Summit.
Summit.
Summit or Fest? Fest. Okay.
Yeah. I think that was the first time.
I was the first. Okay.
Yeah.
But I knew you from online.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew you from online, and I was like, all right, who's this brother? And I'd always see your name, and at that time it was like Seth.
Yeah.
But I always read it as Safe.
Mad people call me Safe. Bro.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I read it as Safe. I'm like, Safe al Afriki. I'm like, all right, this is dope.
The sword of Africa, huh?
Yeah. I'm like, this homies holding it down, So I'm like, all right, that's dope. And then I learned more about you. And then I think, I remember the first time I have a clear recollection is, I know obviously we performed together at that time in Philly, and you actually came along with me. We did a bit of a tour, kind of East Coast tour. That was cool. That was fun. But I always remembered that you were a serious slam poet, which I respected because I didn't know many Muslims that were also really into the slam scene. I think slam poetry itself is it's a different pedigree.
Yeah, sure.
There are a lot of Muslim poets who are just out there. We're handing out awards now to people. Oh, great, mashallah, you did a great job. Mashallah. But to be a slam poet in the real world is you really you put yourself under there. Talk about your slam poetry experience because I'm really interested in I know the scene in Philly is real dope as well.
Yeah, it's tough too, man.
Yeah.
I started slamming in 2000 and it's been 10 years now, man. So 2008.
2008, okay. A little bit more, so maybe 11 years.
Yeah, almost 11 years.
Yeah.
And in 2009, I won Brave New a competition won the number one in the tri-state area. So out of Philly, Jersey, that area there, I won number one out of about 80 poets. And
that's a big competition as well.
It's big, man.
A lot of people. I don't know if it's as popular now. Is it still as popular?
Still
really?
Heavy.
Okay.
It's still heavy. Because
that was the times of Def Poetry Jam and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was a different world at that time. That's when poetry was really being put on a pedestal.
Man,
and I don't know retrospectively if I see it as popular today or if it was more popular then. It feels like it was more popular then.
I agree.
But I feel like there are a lot more poets today.
For sure.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if it means today's much more saturated.
Yeah.
Or what it is.
It may be. I don't know. I remember that.
I
remember my first year slamming and poetry, man. When I first came on the scene, I started off doing poetry in Islamic school. So Islamic school,
takbir.
Exactly. Everybody, I thought I was the guy, bro. So I went to the slam thing, man, and I got zeros, bro. Zeros.
I didn't even know they handed those out.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Zeros.
For real.
So I got up there all swagged out, talking about Allah, apart from all that, man, and they were like, nah. This ain't it. The content delivery of the gym. So I remember humbling myself and having to spend a year grinding, working on my craft. Sometimes I would go to my mentor's house from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. every day, writing, doing workshops, practicing. I did that all summer long, just working on my craft. And when I came back, I went from, being dead last to finishing first. And I remember when I made the team, because there were some internationally known poets. Like Philly is a place where if you get slam in Philly,
that's what I'm saying.
They call it Fear Philly. Everybody feared Philadelphia on the slam scene.
For real.
So when I finished number 1, I remember like there was a buzz all around the country. Who was this guy that beat J9, that beat Aaron, they beat all these people? And then they were like, because I did this poem called Something in the Water. They was like, is it something in the water, boy? Like he did, like, you know, he's trash. He's gonna be on the team, like, because they saw that performance.
Right. So
I really had to come through the trenches and work my way up. And really earn my spot on the spoken word scene. So coming from Philadelphia, such a rough scene. I remember people would perform and they would ball like paper rub and throw it on stage. They would boo you off stage.
Damn, like that.
It wasn't friendly at all. So if you can make
what happened to the brotherly love, man?
Nah, man, not on stage.
Not
on stage.
For real.
Yeah. There was this movement called Unliterous where they was trying to clean the city up, pick up trash. And if somebody's poem was bad, they would just scream Unliterous on stage. Bro, Philly? Different.
That's cold. That's cold-blooded.
Different. So coming up in Philly, I felt like that gave me the confidence to go anywhere around the world, and I could spit like knowing that I still with the best of them, man. So yeah.
And I know, like for example, obviously the slam scene, and then you have like nationals. You'll have like, so in Canada we would have an example. We have a few big competitions. We have one which is called TIPS, Toronto International Poetry Slam. I competed in that when I was about. I think I was like 18 years old or not. I know I wasn't even old enough to get in the club.
Wow.
It was like I was mad young. And that was my first time slamming ever. And I remember I came in 3rd.
Not bad, man.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. And you know what was crazy is that all the people who won were all like the first and second were Americans, right? And so I was the only one really repping Canada. I was from Toronto. And I remember by the end of it, and I was so young, and the crowd was just chanting my name. Like even when they brought up the first place winners, they're like, "Nah, boo, bring back homeboy," right?
Dope, man.
And I remember going home that night, and just being so excited. And I woke up the next morning, and I was still shaking.
Are you serious? It's nerve-wracking, man.
No, bro, I was high. I had such an adrenaline rush, you know, being in front of people because you're in a very vulnerable situation.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You feel like you're really like you're naked in front of the audience and you're like, hey, judge me. Right. And you put everything out there but to me, it was like the biggest high. After that, I was hooked, man. I'm like, this is the best feeling. Stop. I could never stop. And I really got addicted to the stage, just being out there. Competition, I think this is one thing I find about Muslim talent is I feel like there is not enough competition. We are just kind of filtering everybody in. It's kind of like, all right, what's your last name? All right, you're cool. Come in. You're in the club. You know, you want to do open mic. And like, if you ask me, my honest opinion, there are a lot of trash Muslim artists.
Of course.
Like whatever you guys were doing in Philly, you know, we need to start.
Canada's too nice, man.
We're nice in Canada by far. But I mean, in general, because I travel and I'll do, for example, open mics in different cities.
And everybody and mama come up there.
Man, it's rough.
What do you say though? Do you check somebody? I mean, do you want to be that guy every time?
Bro, I have to be. Dang. So this is the problem is that my personality is such that like I can't let it slide. Like I really feel like, and the thing is I feel like if I don't tell you, you're not gonna get better.
It's not gonna benefit.
Like how does it benefit you? Like just, and I know other artists like, and it's good. Sometimes you gotta balance it out. You have the brother who's very encouraging. The other brother who me is just, I ruin dreams, you know? And I do it because I'm like, look, if you're not good, save us all the time. It's
true.
Like do something else. Become a scientist or like an engineer. Like, you know, save the world. Like don't do this. Because you're just going to saturate what it is we're really trying to do.
True.
And we want to create quality, right? Not quantity. I feel like that's the problem. There's quantity. We have a lot of people. And it's almost like, I don't know if it's rebellious. A lot of kids who, you know, their parents want them to do the right thing, you know, go to school and, you know, like you're African, you know, parents tell you go to medicine. Man. Yeah, exactly. Like IT, medicine, you know, law, if you're lucky, and then maybe like engineering, something like that.
You're generous with IT, man. IT
is it? Okay, IT's out the window, huh? Yeah. Oh, damn. That was if you was really
lawyer,
lucky.
engineer, man.
There you go, right? And I think the kids who are like, you know, anti that, maybe they want to get into arts, they want to do whatever. But how do we cultivate real talent? Because if we're just kind of letting, you know, everyone slide in and we're like, all right, cool, we're just handing out participation ribbons. How do we really cultivate any talent in our community?
I think it's definitely doing writing workshops, exposing them to different cities, different places, taking them outside of the Muslim community. We have this bubble in the Muslim community.
Yeah, big time.
And if you only exist in that bubble, you would think your ish don't stink. Like you're the guy. But when you go outside where people are unapologetic, you know, tell you like, yo, that was trash. Like, or, you know, that really, it humbles you, but it also, you know, sort of, builds that competitiveness in you, and it reaches you. Sometimes it's by being exposed to other people. You realize like, yo, this ain't it. You know, I remember being the first time I ever went to a slam poet. a slam. There was like Joshua Bennett, like like some of the best.
These are bad. Yeah.
Jadon Woodard, Alicia Harris, like Skrill, like some of the best slam poets in the world at the time, like international champions. Ranking 1, 2, 3 in the world. That was my first time ever being exposed to poetry, to slam poetry. And I remember sitting in the crowd like, yo, what I got? This ain't that. Like,
but it humbled you, though.
It humbled me. At that time, it humbled me such that I almost didn't want to do it anymore. Like, I'm like, I went to school like, y'all been lying to me, man. Like, nobody told me I was trash. Like, I was hot.
Brother, it's haram to lie. You just you gotta tell the truth.
Yeah. But I went home and I got my stuff together, though. Because, sometimes when you feel like I'm writing something that's so personal, so intimate, you have to like it. It has to be good.
It's my truth.
That's not the case, though. We can respect it. We can appreciate you speaking your truth, but it doesn't mean that the writing is good, the lyricism is good, the delivery is good. It doesn't mean that.
Well, I think there's also the aesthetics of it, right? Like sometimes, like something can be, like you said, it's your truth or whatever, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. Like I don't enjoy listening to it. Sure. So. And I know, obviously, I'm sure you've done writing workshops in the past as well. I get invited. You do writing in workshops. You teach kids, whatever. Should we at any point tell them it's bad? What do you think? I do tell people their work is bad. What do you do? How do you deal with that?
If you do say bad, should be you should be able to qualify bad. Okay. So just saying it's bad is not constructive. If you say like this, you need to work on these particular aspects, whether it's delivery, whether it's writing, was your capability of delivering stories in a way that's aesthetically pleasing. There should be some sort of constructive criticism where they can take it and get better. And then some people aren't good at all. For those people, there's a way to tell them. I never try to crush dreams like, yo, just don't do it at all. But I'll tell you if your writing isn't it, because that will help you more than my friend Bashir always says that if I lie to you, it may feel good in the beginning, right? But in the end, it's going to hurt you. Yeah. But if I tell you the truth, it may hurt in the beginning, but in the end, it's going to be good for you. Yeah. So it's good to be honest, but not break people's dreams.
See, I don't know how to do that. I like to break dreams, man. I mean, you know what it is? I don't know if they'll get better.
It's true.
Because I think that, and you touched on it earlier, I think there's a big thing which is missing, which is competition. People are not hungry, and they have no real, like, you don't have something to compare yourself to that on the spot. You can, like, once you lose enough competitions, you'll know.
You figure out what time
you'll figure it out, But unless we really put people in that situation, like, I've constantly have to explain to Islamic organizations, whatever, I'm like, yo, forget the open mic. Let's do it. Let's make it a competition. Yeah. Let's put some money up. For first place, you get this amount of money.
Game changer.
Then the real dogs come out, because everyone else right now is just, and alhamdulillah, it's good. And I'm completely fine with fostering talent. And I know a lot of, young kids or whatever, they need that space. They need that practice. And that's another thing I think we're missing is we don't really have any spaces to get better. Right? Like people ask me, a brother asked me today, he is for his daughter, mashallah, she performed today. And he's like, all right, when's the next one? How do I get her more experience?
That's how you get it, man.
But I'm like, hey, I don't know. Like, there's nothing else.
But that's the thing. If you look at any skill, in any field of skill, I think anybody can be cultivated into at least good or, average, right? If you look at basketball, boxing, sometimes I remember going in the gym, starting boxing, you look around and dudes like, yo, this dude is trash. But being with the right coach, with the right mentor, with the right peers, just by being around the circle of influence, you're going to get at least okay or good, So I think that very seldom you'll find people that just are just all around the board hopeless, and sometimes the people who you see that do look like that can turn out to be the best, because when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go.
You can't get any worse.
You can't get any worse than that. Like for me, like there was one person that night when I got zeros that pulled me to the side like, yo, listen, man, you got bad scores, not because you're bad, but you just need to be developed as a writer. And the style of poem, because I chose to give a tribute to another poet, and I remade his poem. And they were like, yo, all the people who were judges were his peers. Like they were with him when he was writing the poem and producing it, and it just didn't meet their standards. So that just little bit of encouragement really made me go home and write. But if I'd have left there and just booed off, I probably would have never wrote again. Like, I mean, so sometimes it's good to have balance, man.
Yeah. Oh, dope. So now I want to transition to another part of your, your complex kind of worlds, these intersections that you revolve around, which is fashion.
Fashion.
And I see now, mashallah, you dripping heavy out here. You know what I'm saying? Man. You got it going on, B. And I remember the time that we did spend together, you took me hunting.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
That's one of my favorite things to do, man.
And I learned some lessons that day.
For real.
Because I never really wore a suit before. You know what I mean? Like I remember the last time I wore a suit was probably like my grade 7 graduation or something like that.
Bro?
Yeah. I never really, that's not how I never really got down like that. And I like the way they look. I just didn't know how to properly put things together. And it's a whole science.
It's a science, yeah.
You know what I mean? Explain to me, how did you really get into fashion? I mean, how is that something that it crossed your path?
I remember vividly, man, growing up, my parents are from West Africa. So, growing up in America, like the kids are brutal, man. They would tease you over everything.
Oh yeah.
So growing up, I would get teased for being West African, right? And I had parents, once they found out that, I remember my first grade graduation, my aunties, uncles, they came, all dressed up. My dad had the tall kufi that leaned to the side, touched the air. Those kind of parents.
Yeah, the coming to America garb.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
On my graduation, my aunties like laid on the ground, like their, their garments so I can walk to the, it was actually, it's first grade. Like, dang, I'm not graduating Harvard, right? But because of that experience, like I was the guy, coming back the next year, this guy, African booty scratcher, pass or whatever.
Oh, that was the one. Is that what they used to say? African booty scratcher?
Or I don't know who made that up.
I don't even know what that means. African booty scratcher. Like, what is it? You just scratch your booty?
Like, you African booty scratcher? That's it?
I never really got it though.
I don't get it, bro.
I used to get, because I'm East African, we used to get just like, oh man, we used to get Starvin' Marvin from South Park. You remember that character?
Yeah.
It was bad. Bro.
Really?
We had to fight, man. They used to, I had one joke that I heard, which was very insulting, but it was actually very funny. People like, oh, what do Ethiopians eat? My friend's from Ethiopia. Oromo from Ethiopia. What do Ethiopians eat? And like what? Oh, whatever the helicopters drop from the sky.
No.
Oh man, I'm like, you know what? I give you points for creativity, but I gotta fight you. There's no other way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But okay, go on. So the names and all these things would come along. Yeah.
I had those parents. But what they would do is they would instill in me in a very young age to be proud of where you come from. So they were always vibrantly dressed. My mother, different colors, put different things together. And it was like really, influential to watch her like on Friday, Saturday nights go to weddings and put these different garments together. My father would do the same thing. They would have matching garments. I remember my dad had like alligator shoes.
Ooh.
He had cheetah skin pants and a cheetah skin belt, like next level stuff, bro. So him and my uncle Musa, he passed away, my love, rest his soul. They would have competitions. Like they would wear all these like, flower printed suits and everything. And I would just sit on the bed and watch my dad, like, watch them.
Swag out,
swag out, man. Watch my mom. And then I had 6 older sisters too.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got a big family, man.
Big family.
Yeah.
So I would watch them too, and they would dress me, and I just became, like really influenced by the way you put colors together, different fabrics together, the way people treat you, how you dress, the aesthetics, the emotions it inspires inside of you when you're wearing particular garments. So that was my first start, and then it became like a family tradition. We would go thrifting.
Yeah, so this is what we did.
Yeah.
We went thrifting.
Yeah.
And this was and I'll be honest with you, I had a bit of a stigma. My mom, my mother is someone who's like, my mother's like a old, like she's like a queen in like an old African woman's body. Like in her mind though, she looks down on people like these peasants, like, she would never let us wear like old stuff. You know what I mean? Like she's one of the people like really, she makes a point of trying to, make herself feel good about like how we dress and stuff. So my mother, like when I told her, I'm like, oh yeah, I went to a thrift store. She's like, astaghfirullah, what did I do? How did I rape? She thought, my mother thinks I'm wearing the clothes of a man who died. She's like, some guy died in his closet. You went in and you you ripped the shirt off of him while he was in the grave. And this is what you're wearing. Right? But I learned like, and after that, I came back to Canada and I started going to all these thrift stores and I started picking, and I was like, man, this is dope. Like you get really nice name brand stuff, whatever, super duper cheap, but you can also get really nice fitted clothing. So you guys used to do that as a family. You used to go out and kind of.
Yeah. We used to do it. And what I used to do was, because I like really nice suits. Like I'll be in these different places and space and I'll see men wearing really nice suits. And I would ask them, like, how much that suit cost? Like, oh, this is tailor made. This costs $2,000. I was like, well, not me. Right? I'll be back at H&M, right? But I didn't like. I would see H&M suits, and I would like feel the inside material, and it wouldn't feel good. I'm like, this is not where it's at. So I would go to the thrift store, right? And I would get like Burberry suits, Christian Dior suits, man. Take it to the tailor, right? And then get it stitched. And then I would go to my show in a Christian Dior Burberry suit, and they're looking like,
Who's that guy?
Who's this cat? Right? And I'm like, you know, something light, right?
Yeah.
Flexing,
you gotta
right?
flex on him sometimes.
Flexing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I was going all the way out in like the suburbs in Jersey, and sometimes I would get suits never worn before.
Oh, okay.
Or tailor-made suits that were from England and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, Brooks Brothers shoes, $600 shoes for like $40, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I like began like this reputation for myself for being well dressed and wearing suits. People who know quality suits, they were seeing like, yo, this is different. But I would never tell my secret though. Like, you know what I mean? Something like, right? So that's how I got started, man. Just, you know, doing fashion. And then from there, once I got overseas, I decided to start my own men's line.
So let's talk about the men's line now, because I see the stuff you be posting online. I'm like, man, this brother, he's tempting me, because bro, everything you post, I'm like, man, how do I get that? But it looks good, because you know you're a bit slim, you got a nice body. I feel like if I wear that, it's gonna look like, you know, they're gonna say, how many months pregnant is that, brother?
Bro,
I got a little belly and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's called the big money belly, brother. That's what it is.
No. That's called
the big money belly.
Haram belly. I don't know. We've been eating too much halal food now. It's all become haram. But so explain to me about your clothing line, because I know you're based in Egypt right now as well.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Are you getting the fabrics directly from like on the local manufacturers, or?
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about Egypt is that it's like this melting pot and this hub for different countries. So we have fabrics that come from India, fabrics that come from China, fabrics that come from France, from London, from the best mills, and they all meet in Egypt, and you get the best prices. And then you have a history of craftsmanship of, you know, people tailoring suits. Like some of my tailors tailored for like 40, 50 years, man, making suits. So, you know, you get the best of all worlds in one place. So I started off in Egypt just making stuff for myself. Like I went all around Alexandria. I went to Aswan. I went to Heliopolis just to make stuff for myself. Because I'm like, I'm finally going to get some tailor-made suits.
Right.
So I, you know, went all around, spent money until I found some really, really good tailors. And then I made stuff for myself. But because Egypt's such a melting pot, I had friends from South Africa, friends from London, friends from Germany, and they would see me dressed like this, and they'd be like, yo, how can I get dressed like that as well? So I would be the guy in class where everybody's wearing a jalabi and a thobe and a kufi. I'm the only one in a three-piece suit and a tie in the middle class.
Who's this dude?
And I got a lot of slack from the teachers. Like, this is the dress of the kuffar and stuff like that. And I would come even harder the next day. You know what I mean? Like, pinstripe.
They still talk like that,
They trip out.
For real?
Yeah, I get every now and then I get talks like that. This is the dress of the kuffar. Right?
Well, they expect you to wear like the Azhari, like
exactly,
the long. What is it? The second thing they wear?
Yeah, the jubba.
The jubba. Okay, I know it's like a thobe, and then they wear like the one on top of that as well.
But even Azharis traditionally, they were kind of like westernized. So you see the Azharis in suits. Many of our professors wear suits.
Oh, right.
So either the Azhari jubba, they're full Azhari, or they're wearing suits.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So fashion obviously is a big thing in your life now. So you started this line. What is the line called?
Haiba.
Yeah, okay, mashallah. Just men's wear or women's wear as well?
We're working into women's wear now. You know,
that's where the money's at.
That's
where sisters be spending money, man.
Yeah.
When it comes to fashion, that's a big industry. Brothers, I think, are a little bit too cheap.
You think so?
I know so.
You know something, bro? But there's a niche market. The brothers who are used to buying suits, they buy it, and they you know, or their wives will buy it for them. Like, my husband, he's a bum, brother. Can you get them together, right?
Oh yeah.
Bismillah, you know, hook it up. But yeah.
And then obviously you're doing suits, but you're also doing like, what would you call the one that I saw you wearing the other day? It's kind of like it's not really a thobe. I don't know what do you call it? It's like a two-piece.
It's like a two-piece, man. West African inspired, you know, two-piece because in America, we have trying to find the identity. What does the African American Muslim dress like? What does he look like? You know, so what is the culture around Black Muslims? You know, you find Muslims that, you know, as soon as you become Muslim, they give you a shadr khamis, or they give you a thobe, or they, you know, you have dresses from so many different places. But what does it mean to be Black and American? So in my fashion, I like to express that I'm not Arab, or I'm not Maghribi, you know, I'm not Yemeni or whatever, because these people have distinct dresses.
Right.
You know, you can look at a person's thobe and tell this person is Saudi, or this person is Iraqi, or this person is
Moroccan.
So you'll find us, we in the masjid, we got a shawra khamis on, a kufi from Yemen, you know, a jubba from Morocco.
The whole United Nations on.
Confused.
Confused.
And they find it comical, actually. You know, they find it comical. So what I do is I try to dress like myself, man. You know, be myself and accept my own. So I'm experimenting with what does it mean to be African American, what does it look like, and I want to shout my sister out, Aliyah Fula, who's gonna come out with the woman's line.
Oh, here we go. There you go. Coming up soon, inshallah. You know what I saw? And I saw actually one brother here wearing it, and it's a Philly style. It's like in Ethiopian culture and Oromo culture, we call it
Izar.
marto, with izar,
Mm-hmm.
And I see them wearing it's kind of like a one piece though.
Yeah.
It's not like a ihram where you would actually have to wrap it.
One piece with the drawstring.
Yeah.
It's Philly culture, man. It's one thing I really love about Philadelphia is that we've always been unapologetically Muslim, man. You know, like I remember growing up, I was rocking the izar, man. You know, and that's a lot of like from the Salafi influence, man. But one thing they did was they made being visibly Muslim cool.
Right.
Like, you know, you could wear a thobe, you could wear izar, and nobody's gonna talk crazy to you.
Even the beard too. I mean,
The big, the Philly beard.
Yeah.
So Philadelphia has a Muslim culture such that even non-Muslims dress like Muslims. You know, the capris became a thing.
Right.
You see non-Muslim women in hijab, like, you know, rapping the khimar and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's
wow.
And you have some funny stuff too, like, you know, like some shorts and a niqab. We got that too, you know, but.
Rob a bank with a niqab on.
Yeah. We got that too.
Okay.
But we did some good though.
Alhamdulillah. I remember actually one time I was in Philly airport and I was in transit and I was going down an escalator and I sneezed and I said just quietly to myself, like, Alhamdulillah. There's a lady, like African American lady from far away, and this is naive of me to say, she didn't look Muslim. She wasn't wearing hijab or anything. I didn't really care. And she said, "Ya Alhamdulillah," and I was like, "Whoa!" Like,
yeah.
You know, she didn't even hear me say Alhamdulillah, but she was on it. She was on the ball.
That's Philly Muslims, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole thing about giving my salams in Philly, right?
Yeah.
If you don't give somebody their salams, it's a big deal, man.
For real.
They want to hear their salams. They want to hear their yarhamukallah. They want.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
mashallah.
man. Mashallah.
So now let's go on to the last chapter of not the last chapter, but I should say this other intersection that I think it ties in very well, which is your ilm background as well. You're a student now at Azhar, which is a world-renowned Islamic university in Egypt. How long have you been there thus far? I think this is what year for you is this? This is your
third year.
Okay, mashallah. And you have an intention of completing is it a bachelor's and then something else after that? Or
it's graduate school in Sharia.
In Sharia?
Yeah, Sharia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the poetic, fashion-minded shaykh, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala.
You're going to be the fly shaykh.
But you know, that's from our tradition, man. I really, before I was just doing it for myself, right? Then I had some teachers, come at me like, why do you dress like that? Are you showing off? And, stuff like that. So I felt bad. So when I first got there, I kind of like, I would be shy to dress nice because I didn't want anybody to say anything, or talk about my intentions, right? But then I learned about Imam Malik.
Oh yeah, Imam Malik. He used to floss, man. He was
fresh, man.
Yeah, fresh.
So he said, somebody came to Imam Malik one time and they said, felt his garments like, you can't worship Allah in these clothes, right? And the guy had some wool on, like some, dingy wool. He's like, Ahl Tasawwuf, right?
Yeah.
So he grabbed his garment, Imam Malik did, and said, you can't worship Allah in those clothes. He said, I look like Allah provides for me. You look like you need some sadaqah. Imam Malik, cold, man.
Allah clapback.
Cold. Hella
that was
clapback,
bad. That was bad. Okay.
So they said Imam Malik, he said that when they saw him dressing, they said he had the presence of a king. Like he had the haiba. Like you would see him and you would know this person is somebody. Like I don't know what he does, what he's gonna say, whatever he's gonna say.
It's important.
It's important. So you say I dress like this not because of me, but because the ilm that I carry, the tradition that I'm inheriting. So Imam Malik, like if you would just see him regular, he would just regular. But when it came to mentioning hadith, he would put the best oud on. He would put his best garments on. Like you would think that. He was dressed better than the Khalifa at the time, man. And he said, this is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not for me. It's because what Allah has given me. So I think that dressing well is a form of good adab. And also I see that when you dress really nicely, it makes people happy, man. SubhanAllah, yeah.
But how do we differentiate? Because these Ahl Tasawwuf people or the people who you should be zuhud, you should remove yourself from all worldly needs or desires. I don't want to say there is some legitimacy to it, but to a certain extent, we don't want to become, we don't ascribe to capitalism. We don't ascribe to this consistent need for dunya. How do we differentiate the need or the feeling of looking good from, some people who are, like I know people who are compulsive shoppers. They need to buy a lot. They spend their money. They're shopaholics.
Yeah, sure.
How do you balance those two worlds?
A few things. One thing, Sheikh Ibrahim Nias said that there's some people who, they had dunya, right? And they divorced dunya. They said we're free of dunya. And there's some people who they never had dunya in the first place. And they say, I don't want dunya, right? So brother, you've been a bum already, right? Now you want to denounce dunya, right? So the brothers that usually talking those things, usually they got their stain on their thobes, like the same dingy with dapper thobe, right? But for me, in all seriousness, dressing like this is classic fashion. This is something I can pass down to my son. You know, these are garments that you can wear for 10, 20 years that will never go out of style.
Right.
For somebody that's excessive shopping, you're keeping up with the trends, keeping up with the Joneses. Fashion goes out every season. You know, so you may wear something 3 months later, it may be out of style, right? But a suit will always be in style. A suit would never ever not be in style. So it's something that I'm wearing these garments, I can pass it down to my children. He can pass it down to his son if it's made well, and it will stay in the family as generational wealth. So it's very economical and it's very professional. So if we're talking about zuhud, you know, it's a good zuhud, you know.
And do you think that, and you mentioned before that some people have not criticized, but maybe kind of, you know, it might look at you a bit funny.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, if you were to dress like this on the minbar, for example.
I've done it.
You have?
I've done it.
And what's the reaction been?
A lot of people, they don't respect it, you know, at first. Like, you know, I remember especially when I visit like certain masjids, right?
Oh, yeah, those people.
I ain't going to say nothing.
We don't got to say names. We know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah.
Your cousin and them, right?
Yeah.
You know, I get the uncles like, yo, you can't give the khutbah and dress like that.
For real.
And I'll say, what the fiqh? Like, you know.
What the fiqh, bro?
What's the
up,
fiqh?
man?
Like, what's going on?
What's the deal? Okay.
You know, but I said, uncle, I'm sorry, you know, this is what I brought. Like, if you don't want me to khutbah, mashallah.
I could do it naked, but I don't think
that
that'd be any better.
What you want me to do?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But when you have ilm, man, when you get up there and you drop ilm, they respect it, man. They respect it. So the fiqh of what a khatib is supposed to wear, what constitutes Islamic dress. You know, sometimes I do it just to push back the norms. Like, this, your culture isn't Islam. You know, no one culture is Islam. Islam is ihsan.
Allahu
right?
Akbar.
So even in fiqh, if you're going through the sort of list of who leads the prayer, if a person has the same amount of Quran, the same amount of fiqh, the same amount of sunnah, one of the requirements is who's dressed the nicest, who's dressed the cleanest.
Wow.
Why? Because the person that's dressed nicely, that means he takes care of his tahara. He's not going to have najas on him. Right? Okay. So it's a part of fiqh. Like, those are the things that you learn. What are the requirements for a dress? What is the fiqh of dressing? You know, what's tahir, what's pure. But whether I'm wearing a thobe or I'm not, that's not part of fiqh.
And do you feel, and you kind of hinted at it, but that the Western Muslim, you know, the American Muslim, the Canadian Muslim, the British Muslim, I think there is, as people are getting older now, like, so my parents immigrated to Canada. I'm born in Canada. My kids are born in Canada. Now, my kids are, what does that make them? Like second generation, like Muslim Canadians. Like, what is their culture? Exactly. Right? Like, I had something that I'm loosely connected to it, right? But my kids now are just, that's it. Like, they're Canadian, right? What does that, and who gets to define that culture, that American Muslim culture or that Canadian Muslim culture? Who really gets to define what is our dress? What is our food? Our language clearly is English, but you know what I mean? Those parameters of culture that sometimes we hold on to, who really gets to define how that looks for these, you know, the future generation? Yeah,
so identity is a social construct. So you and I are the people that get to define it. The artists, the teachers, the musicians, those are the people that get to define culture. And that's power. You know, as a Muslim man, if I'm giving the role to define what culture is, like when you make somebody a garment, when you see people in the streets wearing your clothing as a Muslim, that's a big deal because I get to design the clothes how I want to design it, you know? So I know there are certain brothers that like design thobes, jalabiyas, right? And what they do is they put like a fold over the jalabiyah, right? From like the navel down. And I was like, why do you do that to your garments? He said, it's out of modesty. Because, I mean, you know, you as a brother when you're wearing a thobe, right?
Okay.
If the wind is blowing the wrong way, right? You might, you know, give people a little bit more than what they asked for, right? So he put the crease over the thobe so that it covers your private part. So when you're moving or whatever, you're still modest.
I think I've seen that.
Intricate details like that, man.
I think that's like Kuwaiti style,
right? Yeah. Okay. So he started incorporating that in his garments, and that for me that was beautiful because as I'm making my garments, I get to define how I want to dress. And also my Islamic fluences, my knowledge of fiqh, I get to put that in garments as well. And also I try to make dua and stuff like that. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. So the clothes is mubarak, right? As you're making it. You don't know who's making the garments that you're wearing. Some dude in China, he's pissed off because he's making 75 cents an hour. Like, just rushing. Ain't no love in those garments, man. Ain't no barakah in those clothes. Right? You wear wash it one time and get too small on you, right? That's because ain't no love in those clothes.
And where can people find out more about your line and all the different work you're doing?
So, YoussefKromah.com, YOUSSEF Kromah.com. By next month, we're going to be releasing those 2 pieces that you saw, inshallah ta'ala.
Yeah.
We have about 200 exclusive of those coming out.
Okay.
When they're done, they're done. You will never see them again. So we're going to release those 200 pieces. And then after that, we're going to release our fall collection of men's suits, inshallah.
And you got to take my measurements before you go.
Bro, I got you.
I'm trying to get fly, bro.
I'm going to send you a whole closet,
for
bro.
real. Yo, I'm trying to get fly like you.
I
respect, man, because you put me onto game.
Listen,
you're my shaykh old fashioned. You know what I'm saying? And mad love, bro. I've been following you and really loving everything. Appreciate everything you're doing. May Allah continue to bless you. Put barakah in all your work, and inshallah, hopefully we'll see you again on the podcast. Jazakumullah khairan for being here. Jazakumullah khairan for watching. Inshallah, stay tuned for another episode of What the Fiqh coming out very soon. Until then, take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.